Hi, I'm Romella, and I want to tell you about one of my new tools called the Emotion Code. So the Emotion Code is a really brilliant and simple, fast-acting tool that can shift emotions that have been holding you in a stasis, shall we say, for a long time. And it works beautifully over the internet, so it's perfect for distance work as well as face-to-face work. So we all have emotions all the time, and most of the time when we have an emotion, particularly with a happy one, we experience it, we process it, and we move on. And the same happens with a lot of the negative ones. Most of the emotions that we go through, we will process in our physical, mental, emotional bodies, and they will just be processed and they'll be gone. Obviously, we have sort of the memory side of it, but not that emotion side. Our emotions are meant to be in motion. So they're not meant to hold on to them like a stagnant energy. But sometimes we have emotions that are so vast that we can't process them at the time. We simply don't have either the mental space, the emotional space to actually physically process these emotions. So what happens is the body will then store them, and it stores them in the physical body or in the sort of the outer bodies as well. And these motions, when we hold on to them, when they're not processed, these then affect our physical health, our mental health, emotional health, and they can then affect and become sort of like a default program, a default action, if you like. So when we experience something similar again, then again, how we felt back at that point is how we then react to that, and it can very much affect us. So, for example, with negative emotions, let's have a look on here, of hopelessness or lack of control. These emotions are fairly impactful when we have them, and when we don't process them, when we're not ready to go through that hopelessness and just think and go through the process of releasing it, it will just stay with us, and that hopelessness can affect and impact everything then that we do. And we all have these emotions. We all have a lot of emotions that we deal with every single day. And I think, I'm just looking it up, I think it's about like 100. Most adults will have at least 100, 150 emotions held in their body in some place. So they might be physically in like the shoulder giving you pain. They might be in your ankle, stopping you moving forward. They might be giving you headaches through your sinuses, or they might just be in a general area. These emotions, they are stored from, I don't want to get overcomplicated, but from at the time that we've been alive, but also when we've been in the womb, we can experience them through our mothers, and get the emotion that way. We can also get a sort of a genetic one or a generational one that's being passed down as well. So sometimes we have these emotions and they're not even our emotions, but they're not decoded, if you like, within us, and they just sort of sit there and impact our defaults. So this is where the emotion code comes in. So the emotion code has identified 60 emotions. So this is a little chart here that I've got. And we use muscle testing to work out what emotions are ready to be released, because not all emotions will be ready to be released immediately. Some of them you might have to release them in the order. The body will let you know what's ready to go. So we can use this chart. We use muscle testing, and sort of a form of kinesiology, if you like, to clear and shift the emotions that the body is ready to release. So in a session, you could look to decode and release maybe definitely 5 to 10 emotions, and they will then be released, and then we can find out by testing again when the next session can be. So you might then have to wait 3 or 4 days before the next session to release another batch of 5 to 10 emotions. So it's a really simple session. It can happen just like I say through distance. I can just connect into your energy and shift those energies, and then feed back to you which emotions were released and if there's any additional information. So that sometimes there is an age that comes up, that is relevant for when that age was sort of held in the body. And that can be really useful to help you identify perhaps what was going on at that very moment. You might have multiple of the same emotions being held sort of in a stacking process, if you like, within the body. You might have a lot of, let's have a look, a lot of anger or a lot of anxiety. And, you might need to release that 10, 20, 30 times, maybe more, because each time it's not the same emotion. That emotion of anger is linked to that event, or that event that caused it. So each emotion is linked to an event, and each needs to be released each time. But it could be that you do have a plethora of the same emotion based around different events, different timings that happen. And so, like I said, the emotion code clears those, shifts those through using muscle testing and through using some forms of kinesiology. So, like I say, in a session, probably about 20 minutes. It can either be done through Zoom, or it can be done just remotely with me, checking into your energy, doing the work, and then feeding back to you what I've released, and you then letting me know over the next couple of days how you're feeling, if anything's noticeable, and then we can do the process again to shift another batch of emotions. Now, there's also another, as well as these emotions, there's also something called the heart wall. And a heart wall is when we have literally a wall around our heart. So emotions are so heavy, if you like, they just could not be processed, and they are so default into our programming that they are literally blocking the heart. And then that affects your intuition. So you lack your intuition, lack empathy, you're not connecting into your higher awareness, and you're missing that link between the connection and the collaboration on a really deep level. And this happens, these heart walls happen when you're sort of overwhelmed by stress. So that particular emotions, the subconscious uses the trapped emotions to basically create a barrier around the heart, and these can be released. So very often they can be inherited emotions, as well as ones that you have experienced maybe through trauma or through major stressful times in your life. So we can shift those as well. So the emotion code is really simple. Like I say, 20 minutes usually is what it takes to go through either just shifting emotions or looking at heart walls to shift. And it might be that actually you have a couple of sessions shifting emotions before we can even get to the heart wall, because the body, the subconscious, it all needs to start processing and releasing. So there's always layers, like an onion. There's always different layers that are coming up and ready to release. And the body, the subconscious, is going to only release what it's ready to release. So you needn't worry that things will come up that you will not be able to process, because if it's coming up, it's ready to be released and ready to allow that emotion to be in motion, to be shifted out of your system, and allow you to feel that freedom, that connection, that vitality, that intuition, and that more positive mindset. If you have any questions about the emotion code, please let me know. It's going to be forming a base within everything that I do moving forward, because it's just so simple, and it's so quick and has such amazing results. So I look forward to speaking to you. If you've got any questions, please let me know.